On today's Tech Help for Churches, comments or no comments on your church's blog? Hi everyone, and welcome again to another episode of Tech Help for Churches. My name is Paul Allen Clifford, and I'm your host here. I'd love for you to join the conversation, so head on over to trinitydigitalmedia.com/contact, and there you can leave a message, say how much you love the show, how much you hate it, what you would improve, leave questions. Anything like that is more than welcome over there, and I would love for you to just give me some feedback and let me know about that. You can also head over to Twitter. Follow me over there at Paul Allen Cliff, PaulAlanclif. This show is available on YouTube, on trinitydigitalmedia.com, and as a podcast. And please subscribe if you find that this is content that's helpful, because that's really why I'm doing this, is to be a help and service to churches. So, speaking of help and services, I do want to share just a couple of things that I find that are helpful to me. First off is my streaming provider, churchstreaming.tv. So, as you're watching this show, I have actually pre-recorded this a week in advance because I'm freelancing this weekend, and this past weekend, and I am right now, as you're watching this, driving back. Now you might think, well, Paul, this looks like your regular set and everything. Well, that's because this is one of the features that I mentioned to the folks at churchstreaming.tv that I would love to be able to pre-record my shows and have them play at their normal time. And they said, well, that's a brilliant idea. And they're really good at encouragement there too. And so they created this as something that they can do is you can have things play at certain times. So you could have potentially your Sunday morning service replay 12 hours later for people on the opposite side of the world. Now that's pretty cool, because normally if you're in North America, 9 a.m. here is 9 p.m. in Australia. Well, what if you've got people that are in Australia, but they're doing something? Well, no problem. You could reschedule this so that it's 9 a.m., or you could do the previous Sunday's service so that it hits them right at church time, whenever that is. That's just the flexibility you have with churchstreaming.tv. So head over to trinitydigitalmedia.com/churchstreaming to take a look. Also, I'd love for you to take a look at my pastor's book. It's called What Life Are You Waiting For?, with the foreword by Bill Hybels. And Bill has been a mentor to my pastor from afar. In fact, our church exists because of something that he said to my pastor at a conference coming up on 20 years ago. And that's just been part of the influence this great man of God has had. My pastor preached this book as a sermon series. He added some other things that he didn't have time for in the sermon, and it became this book. And it's a book all about doing what God has for you to do, and not stopping because of insecurity or doubt or any of the other things that hold us back. So I would love for you to head over to trinitydigitalmedia.com/whatlifebook. That is a short link that will take you directly to Amazon's pre-order page, and you can get your copy there. This has been an influential message on me. In fact, a lot of the stuff that I talk about every Wednesday on the Eternity Changers show is stuff that I have learned directly from my pastor, or things that I've gleaned having processed through these things. So I want you to take a look at this book. I think it will really change some stuff for you. So without further ado, let's get started about talking about today's message. Should you have comments on your church's blog? Well, first off, there are some positives and negatives. It's not the case that comments are universally positive or universally negative. As a blogger myself, and you can see my blog at trinitydigitalmedia.com, as a blogger myself, I leave the comments on, and yet everything does not go in the comments. So let's talk a little bit about that. If you leave the comments on, I don't think that you can leave them unmoderated. There are too many trolls out there. Now, what's a troll? A troll is someone whose only purpose in life they believe to make people mad. They don't care whether they agree or disagree. They're the people that always say that they disagree, whether it's true or not, just to make people mad. So you need to get rid of those comments. Now, in response to getting rid of those comments, they will say you are limiting their free speech. That is not true. Your church owns that blog. They have no right to use your platform to spew their hate. That's just the way that it is. They have no right whatsoever. Now, the government can't stop them from saying whatever they want to say, but you're not the government. You're a church. So you can just ignore that. Don't feel bad whatsoever. There's a common phrase online called that says, haters gonna hate. And that's absolutely the truth. Let's look at the New Testament. Jesus had haters. He's the Lord God of the universe, after all. He's as good as can be. There is no one better. He's perfect in every way. He loves people perfectly. He wants to help people, and yet they hate him. Now, mostly they're the religious people, by the way. So next time you feel all smug, remember that the religious people were the people that tended to hate Jesus. So let's not be that kind of people. Let's be people that love others and try and understand them. But haters are going to hate, so just ignore that. Most of the time engaging with them does not change their mind, but you just need to love people, turn the other cheek, but that doesn't mean that you have to give them a platform for their hate. So I do think that you need to remove any comments by trolls, people that only want to raise an argument. They only want to play devil's advocate. They only want to hate whatever you say. Remove those. Don't feel anything bad about it. Pray for those people. Remember, Jesus said, love your enemies, pray for those who persecute you. Absolutely pray for them. But you don't have to give them a forum for what they're going to say. So I think ideally that's the best balance. Now, as your church becomes more public, as they have more influence, you will get more haters. It could get to the point where moderation is impossible. If that's the case, it's possible that you want to turn off comments. If you turn off comments, you need to realize that there's a cost to turning off comments. The cost is that you're diminishing community. You are not enabling people to talk to you. I guess on some level this is the same as the cost of preaching in public versus teaching in a small class. When you're teaching in a small class, you can interact with people and they really feel a part of it, and it's harder for them to disengage, to pull out, to not get everything that they can out of it. But you have fewer people that you're influencing. So when you preach to a larger number of people, you're influencing a larger number of people, but they really can't engage with you on the same level. They can't say, I really don't understand that. Can you explain it more? Or, I got to disagree with you there. In a nice way, right? There are people that love you that think they hear things and so they want to clarify. Those are the kind of people you want in your blog. You want to comment. And so there is a cost to not having comments, but it could be that you have no choice but to not have comments. With that said, I think I would default to having comments if you can. Now, you've got two kinds of comments you need to immediately get rid of. I've already talked about trolls and haters. You need to get rid of those. Don't feel anything bad about those. You also need to get rid of spammers. I had a bad spam problem on my blog up until I just installed a new plugin that automatically got rid of them. The spammers were putting up stuff like, well, in other languages, so Spanish, which I don't read or speak, French, which I do, and occasionally in English they would put links to fashion websites where you could buy stuff. So I'd be talking about reaching people for Christ, and they would respond back with, and you can get a great deal on a Coach purse. What? Had nothing to do with anything, and they were just trying to get their links out there. So just cut those off. Make them go away. Also, if it has nothing to do with anything, feel free to engage with the person, but that doesn't need to be part of the commentary, right? If you're talking about loving people and just meeting them where they are, someone who says, yeah, but what I hate about the church is big buildings, really has nothing to do with that. Maybe we can talk about that somewhere else, but that really doesn't have anything to do with it. So you can edit the conversation. So you'll miss out on some community, some interaction, some engagement if you turn off comments. But you'll also avoid the spam, you'll avoid the trolls, you'll avoid the haters. So you need to make that decision. Now, if you turn off comments, make sure that there is no message saying, I have turned off comments. Just make it so that there's no indication there were ever comments there. That's in WordPress, for example, which I know most about. There is a little checkbox, a little radio button, I think, actually, where you can turn off comments. But in most themes, it will say comments have been disabled. That's really not helpful. It would be better if there's no mention of them, because not every blog has the ability to do comments. So it's better for people to think, oh, I guess this one just doesn't do comments, than to go, oh, he purposely turned this off. That's no good. Because that would make it seem like you don't want people to talk, as opposed to that's just the way that it is, that there are no comments. So I think that's one thing that I would do. In general, I find that there are some blogs that I read that it kind of annoys me that there are no comments. Seth Godin's blog is like this. There are no comments. Now, the reason that there are no comments is that he's the only one that has something to do with it. He has a huge platform, so he would spend literally 48 hours on each blog post to weed out all the spam, all the trolls, all the haters, all the irrelevant conversation, and he posts one every day. So for every day he posts, he would have to spend 2 days to edit it. You see how that's a problem? In one day, he would be behind 24 hours. In 2 days, he would be behind 3 days. In 3 days, he would be behind 5. And so on, and so on. And it just gets exponentially worse. So I see why, and maybe eventually this problem will get fixed. But if you can have comments, it's really a great thing to have. So I want you to think about, is it worth the loss to turn off comments? And likewise, is it worth all the trouble that I'm putting into it to keep comments on? And balance that. So I don't want you to default to, well, everyone hates Christians, so I'm going to turn off the comments, before you've had a chance to see if everyone that finds your blog hates Christians. Likewise, I don't want you to say, well, I don't want to infringe on anyone's free speech, so I'm just going to leave these up, even though the only people that ever write are spammers and people that say that God is dead. I'll just leave those because I'm a nice guy. That's just bullpucky. I'm trying to think of a nice word to say. That is not true either. Remember, Jesus he wasn't Mr. Rogers with the beard. He didn't just let things slide when they were wrong. But he didn't look for things on purpose so that he could be offended. Do you see the difference? You need to approach this in a Christ-like manner to think, how can I most reach most people? How can I love most people? But I'm not going to take it if someone says that God is just a mythical flying spaghetti monster that I have made up. I'm not going to take that. I'm not going to take that someone says that my religion is all about oppressing people. That's not true. I'm not going to take when people disparage the name of Christ. I will love them and I will engage with them, but I will not take it. I will not allow it to be on my site, because my site is my site. And that's the feeling you should have. Your church's blog is just an extension of your church's building. So you might on occasion invite someone who disagrees to speak, and then you can have a lively debate. You might do that, but you wouldn't just put a sign on the door that says, anyone who hates me, please come in and speak. You just wouldn't do that. So think of it the same way. So those are the guidelines that I would look at when I am deciding if there are going to be comments or no comments. Because if you choose right, if you prayerfully think about this, this is how you'll go out and change eternity. Till next time, I'm Paul Allen Clifford with TrinityDigitalMedia.com.